Alright, you need to wake up now because this topic is extremely important. This is about data types in JavaScript. And what do I mean by data types? Data types are the different types of data that JavaScript allows you to work with. And let's just take a step back. Imagine an ocean full of bits. Billions and billions and trillions of them. Your computer has millions and billions of bits in memory. So we've got an ocean full of bits. That would be a complete mess. So you want a way to organize all these bits. How do we do that? Well, let's say we organize them into chunks to make it easier to work with. But how do we define a chunk? Well, let's say a chunk represents a piece of information called a value. And values play different roles depending on its data type. So you could almost say you've got this whole bunch of bits in your PC, and we're dividing those bits into different chunks, and those chunks are made up of different values, different data types. Some values are numbers, others are text, others functions, and so on and so on. Now, you might sometimes read, and people may tell you that JavaScript is an untyped language, but that's just incorrect. You can assign all sorts of different types to a variable. JavaScript does have types. It's not complicated because JavaScript only has two broad types of data. It has simple data types and complex data types. And that couldn't be simpler, let's be honest. There's two data types in JavaScript. In broad categories, it's just simple and complex, but JavaScript doesn't state it as simple and complex. And this is why I don't want you to get intimidated with the language. It's just they use fancy words to try and intimidate people, but at the end of the day, this is all it means. In JavaScript, they refer to simple data types as primitive, and they refer to complex types as objects. Let's now see examples of these different types of data types. So we've seen you get primitive data types, and you get objects or complex data types. What are some examples of primitive data types? In JavaScript, you can kind of break it down into 6 high-level categories of primitive data types. You've got strings, you've got numbers, you've got booleans, you've got null, you've got undefined, and you've got a symbol, which is something introduced by ES6, which we won't worry about right now. Complex data types, you get some of those as well. Object literals is an example. Arrays is an example. And other complex functions. We'll get into those later. There's a method called typeof in JavaScript, which helps you determine, you guessed it, the type of the data you're dealing with. Let me show you. So let's say A equals Wally. Let's say B equals 5. Let's C equals true. What type is Wally? Yes, Wally is a string, it's text. What type is B? B is a 5. And C should be a boolean. So what we can do is we can document right and type of A. You can see it's a string. B is a number and C is a boolean. So this is just one example, type of, that you can see to determine what kind of data type you are working with.